Hello and welcome to Monday Madness, the series where we try to make unorthodox strategies as successful as possible. First off, we have the Lithuanian Super Drush. This strategy involves making the very early barracks and 2 militia for some early harassment of your opponents. This is made possible because the Lithuanians start with 150 extra food. First step, pick Lithuanians. Second step, build a house with 2 villagers and the barracks with the 3rd villager. You 2 villagers that build the house should then go onto wood and collect 30 wood for the next house as fast as possible. Queue up 2 militia and 6 villagers on food and 4 onto wood. What's really beautiful about this strategy is that you can go into a normal build order from here. The most important thing for this strategy to work is speed. Thus not only your build order, but the way you scout is also very important. You need to find your most essential resources and find your enemy within a short period of time. You want to have your militia out by 2 minutes and reach your opponent at around 3 minutes. In my first game, I have already made this mistake. I'm still scouting the back of my base when both militia have been created. I'm wasting precious time finding my last resources when I should have been scouting the enemy. Fortunately, my militia stumble across his house and 2 of his goats. I take some fire from his town center and this could have ended very badly. But I'm already causing idle time, I distracted his boar, and sometimes that's enough to tilt someone off the face of the earth. So far, this seems to be a very effective strategy. In the second game, I start off next to the map edge, so I am unable to do the same scouting mistake twice. I spread out my units and hoping to find my enemy early. In hindsight, I realize that this is a mistake. One of the militias could have been attacked by a wolf, and needless to say, that could have ended very badly. But fortune is on our side once again. I spot his lumber camp, and my opponent makes a valiant effort in trying to quickwall out my scout, but to no avail. I managed to pick off 2 villagers on his woodline while he loses a 3rd to the boar, and leaving the boar in a very ugly position. Once again, our opponent quickly realizes the futility of continued resistance and surrenders in recognition of a superior strategy. However, all is not well in the land of Scarfacia. Whilst winning honor and glory on the front line, I was completely neglecting my own base. One of these poor sods has lost his life due to my actions. Had my attack failed, I would have been worse off than my opponent at this stage. In the 3rd game, I did everything correctly, but I was spotted in the last second by an enemy sheep. This gave my opponent enough time to wall his woodline, and he immediately researches loom. This really shows the importance of keeping your units hidden. We engage in a small skirmish that makes him lose his scout, and I realize that I can't expect my low HP militia and scout to do any further damage. What on the surface looks like a minor victory for me is in reality a rather humiliating defeat. Once again, all is not well in the land of Scarfacia. During this minor skirmish, my town center has been completely idle, putting me more than 3 villagers behind. In the end, I managed to go faster to feudal age, where I pick up 3 villagers with a few scouts, and he ultimately resigns due to my continued aggression. Even though I killed 3 villagers, he was 2 villagers ahead in the end. Sometimes it's enough that the opponent thinks that he's behind. It doesn't actually have to be true. But in this game, you can really see the other really important aspect of this strategy. Do not neglect your own economy. The next game is sent to us by dear viewer and longtime supporter Mars. Let's see how well he does with this strategy. Mars has a very good grasp of this strategy. What's very important before you try this out yourself is that you practice it a few times first. The easiest thing to forget is that you need to force drop off wood in order to afford the 2nd house in time. Mars just about manages to avert the housing catastrophe when he runs into the 2nd catastrophe in the shape of a lion. Fortunately, his quick reactions make short work of the lion, and he pushes forward, his mind set to the task. Mars strikes vigorously at the enemy in what appears to be a pincer maneuver. He distracts the villager luring the boar at the same time as he's attacking the woodline. The sheep are running amok all across blue player's base, and he's running from his woodline in full panic. Mars hangs around the lumber camp a bit to assess the situation. As it is now, he's forced his opponent to research loom earlier than what's ideal. This is in its own a victory, because it would have put Mars one villager ahead had he not let his TC go idle. But Mars is not satisfied with this. He is out for blood. He is playing in an episode of Monday Madness. He bravely charges the enemy villagers, ignoring the fact that they have loom, ignoring the fact that he will lose his entire army and scout in the process. And once the dust has settled, a villager, as well as all of Mars's units, lie dead, and Mars is only lacking the loom upgrade, otherwise they will be completely even. Once again showcasing the importance of not neglecting your economy. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mars. After the initial skirmish, the game descends into a degree of normality where Mars ultimately loses the game in castle due to a flood of eagles. Game number 5 is sent to us by a dear viewer and face of my Twitch emote. Chat, give it up for Regnirak! Regni has a perfect grasp of the build. He is getting his militia out even earlier than me with 10 seconds. But what Regni does not have a perfect grasp of is the scouting. The militia decide to hang out and contemplate about life for a bit, while the scout is chilling in the back in an already explored territory. Well, just like my scout in the first game. Eventually he ventures out, but he can't seem to find anything except for a wolf. But, thinking quick on his feet and giving us an excellent demonstration of how to use the hill advantage, he defeats the wolf and pushes forward, undeterred. Now, Regni is 2 minutes behind Mars's attack and almost 3 minutes behind my own. But Regni knows that he's Lithuanians. He knows that it starts with 150 food extra. He knows that he's got nothing to lose. And above all, he knows that he's playing in an episode of Monday Madness. His painfully slow scouting finally yields result as he slaughters a villager trying to take the boar, and the other villagers can only watch on in terror as they wait for the boar that will never come. But Regni hasn't had enough. He charges again, this time at the mill, and he sends the villagers running for their lives. A brave woman tries to make a break for it, but she thinks better of it when she remembers the fate of her fallen comrade just a second ago. She calls for her girlfriends to come to help, as loom is being researched, and Regni has to perform a tactical withdrawal. He also manages to pick off the scout with the remaining militia, putting them on even villagers and military. The biggest and the most important difference is that Regni has not yet scouted his second boar, and the first one is coming in just now, which is resulting in a horrible feudal time. Regni sadly doesn't get up his walls in time to go for a fast castle, and he ends up losing too many villagers to enemy scouts. The game goes on until Castle Age, where he is overwhelmed by a force of cavalry archers. Thank you for your contribution, Regnirak. Now, to summarize the Lithuanian Super Drush. It's a very fast and aggressive strategy that offers great rewards without a great risk, if you can pull it off. The strategy seems to have a very high tilt factor, and for players that are unfamiliar with it, it can easily get overwhelming. The strategy is also very flexible and not too committal. You can go into whatever build order you'd like after this opening. However, pulling it off requires some practice. You need to have fairly decent micro skills not to let your own ego fall behind at the expense of your aggression. Sadly, these were all the games I could cover this time, as I had a very busy weekend with my mother's birthday and all. I plan to make this into a weekly thing, so leave a like and a follow if you have enjoyed the content. Join my Discord to take part in the making of the next video. Bye for now.